Okay, guys, this is exciting. The last part of our live case study. So now it becomes your turn. Okay, and we're starting to move towards project development. So you get to create Frog Leap's sustainability action plan for the next 10 to 20 years. Now, don't panic. Okay, this is something that we're doing as a practice in our workbook. Okay, it's not something we're presenting to them, but we're going to see how can we start putting together some of our ideas as we're understanding this company, evaluating them, assessing them, and thinking about, well, what is their future going to look like? So let's take a look at the video clip. Okay, here's the future challenges, and we're back to learning a little bit more from founder John, talking about what he's thinking about the future of his company. Okay, so this is 2011. This is the last of our video clips. Okay, we get to meet him. We're going to go back and see Jonah again too. Okay, and these guys are just kind of really talking about, what is all of this going to be, right? And what is this all going to mean? All right, so after we have that experience, we're going to go back and look at what's next, right? We have a chart of comparisons, okay? And you want to take a look at the SWOT analysis that you just did in section 4 and start thinking of goals, right? Short term versus medium term versus long term. So one of the things that we noticed when we first opened up this case study was the idea that it was based on a 50-year plan. Right? It wasn't something like, how am I going to make money right now? Or what am I going to do in the next 5 years? It was really based on a long-term situation. But in order to have a long-term plan, you need to be able to make short-term decisions and take medium-term breaks. So that takes us over here in our workbook where we're looking at, well, this is going to be our quiz actually. You'll be looking at short-term actions, right, that Frog Leap can be taking, medium-term actions, and long-term actions, okay? So this is what your final is going to be, is creating that sustainability action plan. And what number 5 is doing is kind of getting us ready for that. While we're talking about the quiz, let's just take a quick pause, okay, and see exactly what the quiz means. What we're going to be doing is presenting our sustainable action plan in a 3-paragraph paper or 3-slide PowerPoint, and we'll be explaining this. This will be during our class time. We'll be talking about what our top 3 actions are for each area, how they're going to work, and what they're going to achieve. Okay, so you'll be writing a paragraph or a PowerPoint slide for each section. Short term, long term, midterm, and long term. So short term is what's going to happen in the next year. Midterm is going to be what's going to happen in the next 2 to 3 years. Okay, and long term is 10 to 20. You're going to be buying more vineyards, or you're going to be, opening up stores down in San Francisco, or you're going to be building vineyards on the East Coast so that you could serve an East Coast customer without shipping across country. Right, those would all be long-term plans. Medium-term plans would be plans for immediate expansion, maybe putting an extension on your tasting room, or maybe opening up to some Airbnb experiences, or putting some beehives on your property and expanding into fresh cut flowers, or edible wilds, or whatever it is that you might be thinking a nice midterm solution could be for the company. And then short term is something immediately, right? Right now we're in this COVID-19, can they be transitioning over to making hand sanitizer out of wine? Probably not. Or what else could they be doing maybe to help guarantee the protection of their workers, or, play a part in the revival of our economy once we come out of our quarantine time, right? So those are creative things you can be thinking of now that they could be doing. But in the meantime, let's just take a look at, this is number 5, okay? So you're going to be looking at this as comparisons, and you're going to be thinking about what the goals are. So 5 is really just to kind of prime the pump for the quiz, okay? These are giving you things to think about. So that there's pros and cons to each of these, and we're looking at things that can grow the business and things that can maintain the business, right? Because growth without maintenance is just out of control and it's not going to be sustainable. So in the area of production and sales, some of the good things, the pros we have is that they're developing new brands. So they're always expanding their offering of wines, and that enhances their position in the market. It grows new channels that they can sell their wines at. Some of the cons is it's a little bit expensive to acquire and convert new vineyards. It costs them more money. Every time they come up with a new variety, there's a risk, it might not work. And also Williams isn't really 100% on board with the idea of developing more and more and more different kinds of wines. Okay. You have to think about that too, right? The owner is going to have a lot of say in what happens in this company. So what's another thing for maintain, something that they can maintain, that they're doing good and they can keep doing, is that continuation of their history, right? From 2000 to 2011, keeping that story strong. Having all of that hard work to convert to the dry framed organic, this is done. They've achieved it. They've spent a lot of time and they nailed it. It's done. And Williams is all about promoting this. Okay, so that's really good, right? Those are things we can keep doing. And some of the cons is, there's a potential lost opportunity to diversify grape varieties and grape supply sources, right? You kind of settled into this particular way of doing things. That could kind of backfire on you, especially when we're looking at the Vero and that competitive advantage. Are they really being competitive enough, or are they just kind of sitting back in their sustainability and patting themselves on the back? So there's a balance there, right? So we want to be aware of that. When we're looking here at profits, right? So we're looking at the production, the profits, the wealth, the social, the environmental. Okay, when we're looking at profits, what they could grow, right? A pro for that would be accomplished by raising prices on existing brands, right? You sell your wine for more money, you'll make more money. Right now they're at about $20. Some wines are $30, $35. What if they make a $60 wine? Okay, the con with that, the downside is you'd have to increase investments in activities that could reduce costs. Okay, who knows, right? But maybe it is time to go and start, hitting into a new wine category. Something that they can maintain is they're already doing a good job with their profits. Even though there's a recession, they were still able to be profitable because they were in that more lower medium price segment area. One of the cons is that they could forego opportunity to pay down their debt and increase their wealth, right? If they're being a little bit too mediocre with their pricing, it might take them longer to get out from under that 20 grand. So these are considerations, right? All of these are like, can I do this? Should I do this? What would I want to do? What's the owner thinking? And this is where you have a lot of power. This is your place as a student and a creative thinker to be directing, right? What are you going to tell these guys to do? And that's the final quiz. So here when we're looking at wealth, okay, again, looking at under grow, what we can grow. Well, the family has a vested interest here, right? That's really good. It's a family-owned business. They want it to succeed. The cons, the other side, the flip side of that is, you need profitable growth and a reduction of debt. The whole family is tied up in this. If this thing fails, the whole family fails, right? So it's not just, some little side project. This has the family directly involved, okay? So that makes it a little more precarious. Looking at things that you want to maintain, okay, in the area of wealth, Frog's Leap already appears to be doing this, right? Despite a major industry recession, they're still maintaining a level of wealth, okay? But the downside is, from Williams' point of view, no, okay? He doesn't think that they're doing enough. He's a little bit wanting to have more maintenance done on this business, right? He doesn't feel like the wealth is at a stable place. Okay, he doesn't feel like they're wealthy, right? He keeps joking about, I have a $20 million debt, I have a $20 million debt. He never stops talking about that. Okay, so for him, that wealth is a really big problem. He does not have wealth. Okay, so that's something to think about, the mindset of the owner, okay, as we're looking at the business. On the social end, Williams is promoting this option as the right thing to do. Let's go fix that. Okay, so that's his whole rationale behind why he has this big sustainable organic wine business. It's the right thing to do. And that's awesome, right? That's a real growth. That's a pro, and this is something he's committed to and wants to keep doing. And he's constantly looking to see where can he do more and more and more in this area. The downside to this, though, is it requires increasing investments in activities that reduce costs, right? Bringing on those seasonal workers full time when there might not be so much work in the off season, that could be a liability for the business. The workers could be sitting around twiddling their thumbs or just kind of doing projects that aren't really profitable just because Williams wants to be jumping in and doing the right thing socially, right? So that's a flip side, like maybe, right? That's something to be thinking about. On the area of social with maintain, the good thing about maintaining what they have is they're already doing this, right? They already have a strong social program. And from William's point of view, there's no problem with this. Everything is great. And if anything, he'd want to make it bigger. Okay? The environmental, the last one that we're looking at, again, when we're looking at the growth of this and the pros, the potential to do more, Williams is right there. Okay? Again, right thing to do. Anything environmental, he's all over it. At the same time, this requires investments, right? Increasing investments in activities that could reduce costs. Okay, so you have to be careful. You don't want to get overly engaged with your sustainability plan that you then make yourself unsustainable, right? And then when we're looking at this as far as maintenance, how do we maintain this? Frog Sleep is already doing this, right? They have a strong environmental commitment. They have a very established way of doing things. It's working. And again, from William's point of view, nothing needs to be changed. There's no liability on this. It's going well. It's been going well. This is a stable, positive thing. Okay? So that's all we really have to do with this, is you're just thinking. Okay, so this is a time to think. So put on your thinking cap, enjoy your thoughts, jot them down, because the next thing that you're going to be doing is putting those thoughts into a plan. Okay, in the next video, I'll introduce what that sustainability action plan is. Okay, so enjoy your thoughts and enjoy that final video.